how do you go about identifying a proper cause for filing a PIL? Like you said, people oftentimes file PILs which are irrelevant or publicity interest litigation. But what is firstly, legally and technically, what are the things that can be brought before the court as a PIL and who can bring it?
As long as you're working in the interest of the general public, anybody can bring it. It's just that as lawyers, you will know how to draft it formally. But there are instances where people have written a letter to the Chief Justice, and Chief Justice has taken that letter, if he found merit in it, and treated that letter as a PIL. So technically, even you don't need a proper format for that. Only thing that you need is that that issue that has now come to your notice, if you want to take it in a PIL, should be genuine and you should be passionate about it. Most importantly, a genuine cause is very, very important because courts also notice it. Courts also see what is a genuine PIL, what is not. So if your PIL has not come up with a proper motive, if the court finds out that somewhere behind the PIL is a personal interest of the person filing it, the court may also reject it, impose cost. So be very, very careful about the objective behind filing of that PIL.
I am faintly remembering that you have to, like, in a couple of cases where we had filed some PILs or helped somebody file PIL, I think there was some requirement that you have to give a declaration that you have no personal pecuniary interest and so on. Is that correct?
Over the period of time, law evolves. Earlier PILs could be filed without any declaration. But then because of all these faults, and like you rightly use the word publicity interest litigation instead of public interest litigation, courts then felt the need that the person filing the PIL should file a declaration along with it, saying that there is no personal interest involved. So things have changed over the period of time only to stop, because the moment you give an undertaking to the court that there is no personal interest involved, and tomorrow a personal interest comes to the notice of the court may hold you in contempt. When the personal interest is involved, somewhere you are biased for that objective to be achieved. That is why that declaration is important. I do understand it may have an overall effect where the rest of the public would also benefit, but it's better to remain totally off that interest. That is why most of the PILs which are filed are normally by some NGOs, not by an individual who has an interest. Normally, but it does not stop an individual from filing of a PIL.
So does the court look at that who's the person who filed? I mean, it seems so that they also look at who has filed organized, like is it by an organization which has a high standing or actually a genuine cause, or it's an...
It is only to assess the genuinity of the PIL. That's all. The courts are not saying that you should be an NGO or you should be a corporate or you should be somebody really big to do it. And there are, say for example, the environmentalist MC Mehta. So many PILs of filed. Courts understand it's not any personal interest, but yes. And like you pointed out, there may be a personal interest. The personal interest, of course, of MC Mehta was also to breathe fresh air in the same place. But it's again a view of the court that it is not for some personal advantage that may cause any kind of a misunderstanding to be created when that PIL is actually taken into consideration. Only from that point of view.
So I will tell you one specific case. Because there was a situation where a university had basically they had started courses which did not have UGC recovery. Okay, and they are offering these courses. People bought these courses. But the university did not issue certificate, saying that I cannot issue certificate because we don't have UGC recovery.
Right.
Now these students wanted to file a case against UGC, saying that why did you allow the university, or what action have you taken in the university? And they're saying that this should be a public interest litigation. But obviously they could not do so because they were students of the course. So there was a direct benefit from ordinary.
Yes.
So this was an issue. But it was a question with them, but then this is that issue. UGC should regulate such, prevent universities from doing this.
Yes.
Why can't it be a public interest litigation? So what would be your answer in this?
No, so of course the remedy remains with you. Now PIL is not some kind of a new provision in law. PIL is also in the nature of file, in the nature of a writ, under Article 226 before the High Court or Article 32 before the Supreme Court of India. But PIL, of course, the nature of the PIL changes because it is for the public interest. The relief or the drafting therein is the same as a writ petition. But of course, if it's an individual filing it for, like you said, in this case, the student, they wanted to file it, when they are directly involved and that benefit was directly involved to them, so they could have filed a writ and taken their relief. That may not
You go for a writ, but then they can also file a PIL saying that I have suffered already. Nobody else should suffer. So
as an NGO or as a third person who is not a student there, they could have filed.
taking relief for themselves. They're saying ki, in future, UGC should establish a complaint mechanism.
Very well, because they're not directly benefiting from that PIL.
So basically, even if you have a personal interest, as long as you separate the personal interest, not asking for a specific personal
Right.
relief, you can still file a
You can still file a PIL.